Okay, good morning, traders, and welcome to Trade the Structure. So we've got another night over in the US, over and done with, coming to the start of the Asian market session again, and we're just going to go over the key levels and the price action I expect to play out, and basically a general macro view. Now, I'll try to get through this a lot quicker than yesterday. I think we nearly ran out of time pretty much yesterday, so we'll give this a go, and then I'll upload that for you. So we've got the general theme. It seems to be it's a bit of a safe haven buying. It feels like the US dollar rallied. We've got bond yields; they rallied as well in the US, which is not necessarily a safe haven because we've got payroll numbers, major employment data out tomorrow night on Friday. So it's the first Friday of every month. The US, the biggest number is out. They have some employment data out tonight, which I think is just someone else trying to front run that, trying to get some exposure, but they're generally off the mark. Okay, so I think the market sort of discounts that release, and they really just focus in on the payrolls, which is on the Friday, the big number. Okay, so that's probably why we're seeing a bit of a rally into the US dollar, a bit of unwind of those shorts. Inflation is still a major problem. The theme between economic data and growth in the US and inflation, they're sort of going head to head as whether or not they can growth can continue to absorb higher inflation, or whether that inflation is going to be sort of the pressure on growth and start to slow things down, which means that they have to raise rates soon. They can't just leave higher inflation; it's going to get out of control. So they really have to probably be a bit more aggressive. So I think the market is still, if those economic data, those releases come out weaker than expected, then I think we're going to see a bit more pain into the equity market. And you can see that's why the actual US markets, say the S&P, the Dow, the Nasdaq, opened stronger and then faded. Okay, from the open, we pretty much gave that back straight away, and that's probably because they had some weaker numbers come out in the US. So it seems to be that's the theme at the moment. Now we've had a good little bounce. This is the S&P 500, a good bounce. We expect some sort of reversal of that move up. It's just whether or not the market is going to look to hold. Just get that out of the way. Look to hold a higher low somewhere down here for another leg up. Okay, if that's the initial leg up, we get a secondary leg up, and we could be looking to that 4,300 mark. But it needs to, it needs to not fail. It needs to hold that higher low. But the other bias is obviously we could just continue to head south. Okay, off this lower high. Now that is just sort of an unwind, a little unwind of this leg down. We could consolidate between these two levels, 420, 41.21 and 38.60, until we have more of a read on what the global market's doing. What they're going to do with inflation and the economic data releases in the US. And I think Europe's the same. They're looking at inflation, high inflation. Australia's looking at high inflation. They just need to be able to absorb it with the continued strength into the economy. Now, if that starts to slow down and jobs start to slow and things like that, then you can't keep these higher levels. All right, so let's go over to the Dow. Dow's much the same. The the market's pressured up, and we're just starting to see we're going to do this continuation all the way down into new lows, or we're going to start to pull back, hold a high low for a secondary leg up, which could take us back up to retest 34.150, and that's just a contraction of that leg down. Or do we just sort of flounder around here until we decide what's going on? Okay, for now, I think we're unwinding that leg up. Okay, after the couple of nights action. Same with the S&P and the Nasdaq especially. We've got this move up, this bounce off the lows. We're unwinding that. We're going to start to probably pressure some of these longs that built up there. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people caught in the wrong side of the market, expecting a big bounce. They're going to have to unwind. It's the same in the Asian market session. Okay, we look at Nasdaq, same sort of scenario. Continue down or hold a higher low. Okay, over to the European markets. Now, we were speaking about this yesterday, which I don't think I actually uploaded, had problems uploading it, so sorry about that. But yesterday we were speaking about this failing off that 14,570 level, which it has. Okay, we've had this, you can see a little retest fail, I like to call it, double top just in here, and that's around 14,473, which is holding the market down. I expect more of a move down, potentially into that 14,200 mark. Okay, but that's pretty much what we're looking for, that bit of push up we saw yesterday and then failure. Okay, so I think there's going to be more failure today. We may have a bit of a flush higher early on the open just to drag in some buyers, attract them, and squeeze them back out and move down. Okay, so that's looking for that move down into 14,200, which it could be that's kind of scenario that matches in with this, pull back into that support, matches up with this trend, and then we get another move back up again. But we'll wait and see. Okay, over to the UK. Now, UK has failed off some all-time highs as well. Not all-time highs, sorry, but a major resistance zone, which is at that 76.83. Now, that's a daily resistance zone, so it goes right across the left-hand side of the chart. So if you flick on a daily, you'll see what I'm talking about, but it's failed off there, bounced back, failed again, pushed up again, for about the fourth or fifth time, which we're starting to fail off that level there. So we had a big run up, that run up there was getting a bit more, choppy as we got to these highs. Momentum's failing. There you go. Is failing, which leads me to believe we're going to get a bit of a sell-off, a bit of an unwind of these longs. Where we go to, I don't know, but I'll be looking for lower highs into that market and a press down, a deeper move down off 75.40. Okay, over to the Asian markets now. Like I said, I think the Asian markets got ahead of themselves yesterday. The actual ASX wasn't too bad. It popped up on the open, so it was getting buoyant on the open, flushed it up, and then they held the gains, held those sort of levels into the close, and then basically failed overnight in the overnight markets where the markets are thin. So they can be bullied a lot easier in overnight markets than the SPY because it's a thinly traded futures market anyway. So I feel that we're going to, obviously going to open down probably 45 or so points, which takes us down to, 71.80 area, which is somewhere around here. Potentially it's going to bounce off this trend line. We'll just wait and see. So it could be a bit of a pullback, another run higher. I don't know. But if we start to fail under here and fail a bit more, you sort of start to break this trend line, then I would expect any lower high. You get something price action like this, move down, pop up, lower high, and we take us back down to 69.70. And that would confirm, the bigger move. That move is still down. The anchor to that, got one leg down, secondary leg down. The anchor's still way up here, so you can contract quite a bit and bring in some bulls and then dump on them, okay, and continue that move down. Okay, so the daily chart on the XJO is not looking too flash. You've got major resistance up here, major RTF, major double, triple top at 76.15, and we're starting to unwind quite a bit, okay? So it's just whether or not this is going to start to drag back up further or we're going to fail from here. Okay, I think it's got to do with the US and what they do. Payrolls come out tomorrow could really throw a bit of a spanner in the works for any bulls. Okay, HSI, which is the Hang Seng. So you've got the Hang Seng, which was, it's pressured up into this zone here, previous run up. It's pressured up to here, extended, and that's around, it was at 21, 350, 360 into that level. Thought it may flush a bit yesterday, but it was pretty much weighty. Okay, the action was a bit weighty. Now it ended up down. It was teetering on a bit of a sell-off, but it held up okay. Now, after overnight action in the US, it may be that there's a few bulls that bought it yesterday and bought it up in the previous sessions that are starting to, be a bit concerned that the market's getting a bit extended. You can see that momentum is starting to roll off, roll over. So I think the market's gonna open down from the overnight action. It's down probably 100 or so points on the underlying index. So it might take us into these lows. I can't quite remember, but if you are part of the Discord channel. I normally put up posts there of where roughly we're going to open the index, so I trade that a lot. Okay, so if you don't know about it, just look at the website www.tradethestructure.com for more information. All right, so I would expect that we're going to open weaker and we're going to sort of flush through these lows and had a bit of a drag on these buys that have been building up over the last few sessions. Okay, so I expect that pressure to be down to lower high to hold. Nikkei, much the same. It's had, it's pressured up into the resistance zone after breaking, a downtrend. You can see this sort of move down. It's pressured up, but generally the longer term move is down, the daily move is down. So we just sort of broken this bit of a trend line. This trend down, broken it, with a move back up. But if this starts to fail, then we're going to get a bigger leg down and I would expect to start to attack some of these lows at 24,900, for instance. Okay, but for now, it's all about this level today. I would expect us to open down, be a bit more pressure. There's going to be sort of this little minor level in here, which the market could attack. I'm not sure if it's going to attack it on the open. Again, I'll have to have a look at where the CFD or the futures market's closed and just see how much it's down from that close of the underlying index, which is at 4 p.m. on the Nikkei. Okay, and we'll post that to the Discord channel. So yeah, looking for that market to move down, potentially attack that 27,270 area. Okay, and start to be a bit weighty and start to look to squeeze out some of these longs. I think, like I said, there's been a few buyers caught off guard, expecting that US market to continue to bounce higher and higher and higher. Problem is they're starting to roll in my eyes, which would mean it's going to be a few late longs, especially being under pressure into the indices. Okay, the dollar. So the dollar index, whether it could be a bit of safe haven buying into that. You're seeing the US yen, not really being a safe haven. Okay, it's more the US yen is moving up mainly because the US dollar is rallying. Okay, but if we start to see that teeter over, then there's a yen safe haven buying, which is probably offsetting any dollar appreciation. Okay, so for now, it's just US dollar based, a bit of an unwind, maybe an unwind of these shorts. So we've got daily resistance through here, which I've actually taken off. It's just annoying me but you got daily highs through here, which we flushed up. We've spoken about quite a few times, and we come straight back down below that daily resistance. And now we're probably coming up to retest it from underneath, okay, potentially, and just squeeze out some of these sellers, remembering that the payrolls number or the employment data is out tomorrow night. So it's a bit of an unwind of these, sellers, especially if you're short from down here coming to the number. If you're a late short, late seller into the US dollar, then you're probably going to get squeezed out. And that's, the first ones to go. Then we start attacking these levels and higher levels. Okay, anyone that sold it royal up here or here is still okay for now anyway. But there might be just unwinding of shorts ahead of the number because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how the market's going to take it. So I think that's more of an unwind than an actual safe haven. Now, looking at the euro, much the same. You're getting a bit heavy. We spoke about this yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't come through, but the previous few sessions, we're coming up to a key level at that sort of 108.00 level up here. We start to fail. We've got a lower high in play now, so that's your first move down. Secondary move down took us into these lows at 106.47, and look, it's holding for now. We could have a bit of a retracement if that US dollar, which is extended to the upside, starts to fade lower again. We're going to get a bit of a bounce off that 106.47 level. But I'll be watching those two in conjunction if you're looking to buy it. Look, if you're looking to trade them, you've got to look at the US dollar as well. So pound has also failed. We actually failed pretty hard. We saw that lower high took us off that, through that 25.87 level, 125.87, down into these sort of lows here. And that's really the anchor to the uptrend is around this level here. We spoke about this yesterday in the previous session, 24.73, okay, this low through here. Now, that could easily go, it is extended, but, don't look at that extended just as a reason to buy. You've got to look at the price action. Okay, and if the price action starts, you can see how it's flushed that level and holding back above it. If that starts to, fail to move down, then I would expect a bit of a bounce, okay, and squeeze on any of these sellers. That's what I'd be looking for on the pound, but at the moment, I wouldn't really be looking to sell that. I want to see it, clearly head down, minor pullback, and then sell into a minor pullback if you can get it on the lower time frame charts. Okay, over to the Aussie. Aussie dollar, we spoke at this level. Just get back a bit more. That's your first leg up. Secondary leg up took us to that 71.75 area, which we did flush above that level, held, had a bit of a spike and then failure. So I expect that it's going to see a bit more failure back down below that level. It was a bit more buoyant than say the euro and the pound, purely because you got the markets are still holding. I would expect that today to failure a bit more, purely because higher US dollar means higher commodity prices. Maybe the Aussie's looking at it going, well, the US dollar is just a bit of an unwind of shorts. We could get some reestablish of, up at this level, up at these highs, reestablish a short, which would be a bit more, will be buoyant for commodities, which should be in turn buoyant for the Aussie. So maybe that's why we're getting consolidation through this level at 71.75. But I wouldn't be looking for longs off it because that price action is not really nice at all. Okay, you really do want to see a bit of a pop up, hold the MAs, and then go at a higher level, and then see if we can get that break higher, get on, where your risk is and away you go. But on the downside, you're sort of looking for something like that. Okay, US yen. We were saying that it really started to power higher because of rallying the US dollar. Now it's coming to that 130 area. It's just around 130 now. That 130 area is sort of that line to stand for the BOJ intervention. They've alluded to that before, trying to get some of these sellers into the yen out of the market, get them to buy back and see if they can pop. Okay, sorry, the yen can pop, pressure the US yen pair lower. Okay, so they don't want this, a low yen. Right, so they've spoken about this before, that 130 level. We're back up into these highs, from previously. Let's just make that a big level. Okay, back into these highs from previously after a sell-off, straight back up there, with the US dollar rally. So for me, I'm not going to buy up here because, you're fighting the BOJ. And they might start to come out and say something today or in the next couple of sessions, or, if we start to get an unwind into the equity market, a bit of safe haven into the yen, then that could, it could actually see that pressure head south. Sorry, pressure in sellers, head market south. It's getting extended. You can see that really extended. Over to gold. Excuse me. Now gold, actually, strangely enough, I was watching this. It did have a sharp bounce off that 1835 area. Okay, had a bit of a bounce off the 1835 area, and I expected the US dollar to be down. Instead, the US dollar was actually up. It was buoyant. So gold remained up as the US dollar rallied, okay, which is sort of against trend of what's been happening of late. You get a US dollar rally, gold go down, and vice versa. So it's acting as a currency. Seems to be potentially a bit of safe haven into that overnight. or maybe just the algos working on the shorts, have a bit of sharp rally here and then start to dump again. We head back down below 1835, okay, tonight or later tonight. It's in a prime area where it could hold this lower high. You can see this move down in a prime area that could easily do it. But just the way it moved, it's the way it spiked up against that US dollar rally. It, to me, is maybe a change in tone, but something to bear in mind. Oil, we've got a lower high in play now, and the lower high is pressuring the market down. I expect it to press basically down to that 111.80 area. Okay, I know all this talk about, generally if it's in the news, they're talking about, you got to remember this, the bigger boys are talking about high oil prices because of the war, because of this, because of that. They're probably trying to get out of longs. That's that you're trying to keep the market up there. But at the moment, the price action to me is suggesting that we're going to head down into that 111.80 area. I mean, longer term, it's still hovering around these highs. Okay, so longer term, yeah, but don't forget the swings and roundabouts. You've got the market pressured up, pullback, pressured up, and we're starting to fail now. Okay, it could go right down below 111.80. Doesn't mean that's going to find support because I've drawn a nice couple of lines there. But that's my first leg down. Bit of a retracement. Second leg down, that's a lower high confirmed. Looking for that 111.80 or potentially below that. Over to copper. Now, copper's it's still holding higher levels, but it's got resistance at 435.10. Now, if that US dollar continues to rally, I would expect that to roll over. Okay, but at the moment, it's actually not having. It's holding up okay. Okay, we've got a bit of a pop, probably the same. A bit of a pop in gold matched off this pop in copper. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that longer term, that's not looking too great. We're looking for more of a sell-off. All right, over to just a couple of cryptos, and then we'll finish up there. That's Bitcoin. Now we've had this big power through that 30. For whatever reason, it drove through that level. You could attribute it to anything. They're talking about Luna selling into Bitcoin because of that. I don't quite understand, but it doesn't matter. It was selling and it's pressured people out of the market. Okay, it's pressured longs out of the market. So it doesn't matter why it's happened. It's just pressured them out. Now, if they're pressured out and they've taken a hit, they might have been the first time they've taken a hit. It might be the second or third time they've taken a hit. Now, that's going to really, they're going to be struggling to find more buyers. Okay, so that's just the nature of the business. It's the nature of the market. For whatever reason you say it should fundamentally go higher, I think the die-hard crypto would be looking at this sort of rally going, yep, okay, we're on. Problem is, I think it gave up a lot of these gains as quick as it sort of, as it made the gains. Okay, so we pressured up into these highs, 32,450, fail again. So whether or not we're going to, continue to press down to 28,500, I think we're going to hold below that 3330 area. If we hold below that, then I think this level, is going to continue to pressure down. Okay, we could find this, but I would expect a lot more chop if we're going to hold this as a higher low. Okay, we could easily, just jam up because we are extended to the downside, take out 330 and then start to get a major lower high and pressure down. Whoops, if I can draw that. That could be the case. Okay, but for now, just because we had this Luna debacle, whatever happened there, and everyone's saying the reason why Bitcoin went down is because of that. The fact is it's selling, and when you get selling, you're going to pressure buyers. Okay, it's a psychological thing. It's not a fundamental thing. It's pure psychology. And if we run out of buyers that want to have it dip their toe in the water again, then there's no more buyers. You can have more weight of sellers coming into the market, especially if they start to pressure it lower. Okay, and the same with sort of Ethereum. Same sort of basket. I think there it's still holding that trend down. This little move down, holding lower highs, lower high, lower high, all the way down. We're coming to a major zone here around that 1750 area. Maybe it's going to continue lower. Don't know. It is extended, so I'll be surprised if we don't bounce, drag in some buyers, and then squeeze them back out and then move down. Okay, we'll see how we go. Anyway, guys, that's all I want to say. That's pretty much everything. I think, generally think there's going to be some more pressure into the equity markets, potentially into tonight. And tonight's sort of the last-ditch effort before we get the payroll numbers for share traders, because that's only open tonight, and then the numbers come out before the market tomorrow. So we could have another, a bit of a grind lower. I wouldn't expect a major sell-off. I would expect more of a grind lower because that's a key data release tomorrow night. Maybe this could be a reaction to the employment data tonight, but it's not a big one. It's been well off the mark many times before, so I think people just sort of discard it more than anything else. So we'll see how we go, but yeah, I'm expecting a bit more pressure to come into equities. There could be some safe haven buying into the dollar down the track, and gold and yen, so on, which is always going to affect those markets. So, stay safe. Hope you enjoy that. Remember, leave us a like. Check out the profile in TradingView for Trade the Structure. Leave us a like if you enjoy what you hear, and we'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.